Hi, I'm Bree Johnson of Heart and Bones Yoga, and we're going to look at bridge pose today, but we're going to offer a couple different variations for your legs in bridge pose. And what this is going to do is strengthen your legs in a variety of positions. Now, the most structurally sound place to start in a bridge pose is having the feet and knees pelvis width apart. And that's a great place to begin. But if you've been doing your bridges with your feet that same distance apart for many, many years or many, many times, then it can be helpful to get out of the box, so to speak. And just simply by changing the angle of your legs, you're going to start to wake up different muscles that we might not have used in our more traditional alignment. So we're going to try that today. We're going to try a bunch of different variations. Please go and explore them with curiosity. And if anything doesn't feel good, if your knee or your hips or your back doesn't feel great after doing it or while doing that, then listen to your body. But if everything feels good, you'll enjoy it. So we'll start by lying down on the floor here. And we'll start in our more neutral bridge pose, right? So our more traditional classic bridge is what we'll go. And so what we do is start with the feet and knees pelvis width apart. And then you're going to lift up, and we're going to lift the hips up halfway. So I'm not going to go into my fullest expression of the bridge pose here because I want to start first, before doing any sort of back bending in this bridge leg position. It's really important to turn on these muscles behind you. So my leg muscles, the back of my legs, hamstrings, glutes, everything wants to be strong and supportive to help lift my pelvis. So how to really get these muscles to work is really press your feet into the floor, especially your heels, and then start to feel like your heels are dragging back towards your body without actually moving them. So what that's doing is creating a contraction, which you'll probably feel right away at the back of your legs. Now keep that contraction, keep pulling your heels in towards you without actually pulling them, and then lift your legs or lift your hips up. So I'm never really caring how big or deep your bridge pose looks like ever. It's more about, okay, let's start to wake up and strengthen the muscles of our backside, specifically in the legs today. So we'll hold that for another breath. And then you'll slowly lower down and see if you can lower down, keeping that sense of contraction, keeping that sense of feeling that your heels are dragging towards you without actually dragging. Good. Now that you're down, you're going to open your feet up just a little bit wider. Now, as we start to move our feet out of the traditional alignment of feet and knees pelvis width apart, you might be wondering what direction the toes can point. This is just all about playful exploration. So if your feet naturally want to turn out a little bit away from that toes forward position, that's absolutely fine. So now that you're down, we're going to come up again. As you start to lift your pelvis up, root your feet into the ground. And as you root your feet into the ground, do that little drag without a drag, feeling your heels pulling back, kicking on the beautiful strength behind you. Again, we're not interested in going and getting into a maximum range of motion, especially now that we're putting our legs into a different angle. So explore here, see how this feels, and then you're going to slowly lower down. And then we're going to open our feet up just a little bit wider. It doesn't have to be a huge change. And slowly press your heels into the floor, do the drag without the drag, waking up the back side. Good. And then noticing how this new angle feels. Are there different parts of the legs and hips that are having to work than previously in our more traditional alignment? And then slowly lower down. And I'm going to turn away from the wall ever so slightly, and I'm going to go a little bit wider. Keep checking out for your own body. This might feel good. This might be too much. Try it, see how it feels, and if it is too much, then don't do a wider leg. And then if you are doing it, you're still going to press, drag, feel again. Now new muscles waking up, and you might feel that you have a tendency of wanting to have the knees poke out to the side. So do your best, even though they are poking out to the side, try not to let them kind of flop inward or outwards. Keep them pointing in the direction they're in. Oh, exhale. So I love the wide-legged version because it really starts to wake up my outer hip muscles. So I'm sure you are probably noticing the same thing. So once we've gone, I'm going to leave it to this width. We're going to slowly go one by one back to how we started again. So this becomes a fun little series. So I'm going to bring my feet back in just a little bit more. They're still a little bit wider than pelvis width apart. And then I'm going to lift. Good. And notice, do you have a little bit more pressure in one foot than the other foot? See if you can even that out so both of your legs work as evenly as possible. And then slowly lower down. We'll bring our legs in again. They're still not quite pelvis width apart. Press your feet down into the floor, lift. Notice how the experience changes from angle to angle in your legs. And then slowly lower down. You can hold, I'm going through this a little bit faster just for the sake of this tutorial. If you do this on your own, in your own practice or in your classes, then you can hold for as long as it feels right for you. Now we're back at feet pelvis width apart in our more traditional position. But you can see how your legs have had an experience, new experience of moving. And then slowly lower. And then just to try something a little bit different, if this feels okay for you still, you'll just bring the feet a little bit closer in toward each other. If your knees say no, then listen to your knees and not me. And then exhale and release. Good. Take a few moments now on your back after you've moved through this series. Notice how your legs feel. Notice the different parts of you that woke up. So that's a very simple, very effective series of movements where it's still the same familiar bridge pose, but then we get to have this more wide and variety experience of movement. So it's great. You can integrate that into your yoga practice anytime to allow everything to wake up. So as always, subscribe to this channel if you love it. And you can also go in the little comment section below and sign up for my newsletter to get these Movement Mondays and other updates and tutorials directly into your inbox every week. Again, I'm Bree Johnson. I hope you enjoyed this. I can't wait to see you again.